Pitching takes center stage tonight for your Texas Rangers. A rare night game during spring training, and how appropriate that Jacob deGrom will make his Cactus League debut tonight. We've got that story coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Most often during spring training, one day is very much like the other. It's sort of Groundhog Day when you're at spring training. But today is different because Jacob deGrom and Wyatt Langford will both be in the lineup for the Rangers for the first time this spring. As we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios and welcome you to the DLLS Rangers podcast. And I said that with confidence, even though I don't know if it's true, because Jeff Wilson is standing by in Arizona, and I haven't looked at the weather forecast, J-Dub, but what's the deal? Are they going to be able to play tonight?
That's the anticipation. The rain, it rained all night. I woke up a couple times, and it was raining pretty good, and was raining when I went to work out this morning, but it has stopped. The Royals have a game at 1 o'clock here at the stadium, and the tarp has just come off the field. It's cloudy and it's windy, and it's not particularly nice, but it's supposed to be dry. And Langford won't be in the outfield if he plays. He's going to DH. Don't want to take any risks out there. And then deGrom, there's talk about if it's cold or not, but they think that it's going to be warm enough for him to pitch. We'll see, but all signs are a go right now. And apparently it's going to be a pretty star-studded lineup there against the Rockies over in the Scottsdale area. Players like to go out to Scottsdale and have dinner afterwards. So, they're going to get out a surprise, get away from the Applebee's and the Red Robin and head on out and hit a nice place in Scottsdale where they can spend a lot of their money.
Are you going to Scottsdale as well, Jeff?
I am, but I do not anticipate going out on the town with the fellas. I think that they would not appreciate that. But yeah, if Jacob deGrom's going to pitch, I'm not going to miss it. I want to see it. It's big news. So is Wyatt Langford coming back. But man, people have been waiting a long time for deGrom. So last year those 3 starts were big, and this is the start of what everybody hopes is a healthy 25 to 30 start season.
I encourage you to go to Burger Therapy.
Okay.
It is the best place in town. So good. Such a great burger. You probably can't get in on a Friday, though. But Burger Therapy.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, it's good.
I just had a small breakfast before I worked out, and I didn't eat anything afterwards, and I'm not going to be able to eat anything until after the clubhouse closes. So I'm going to be hungry, John.
Yeah.
And I might have to go get that.
Early dinner at Burger Therapy. You might beat the crowd.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give it a shot. Burger Therapy.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I trust
you. And you're right. The 25 to 30 starts obviously being everybody's. I don't even know if it's a goal, Jeff. It's everybody's dream, right? For Jacob deGrom. But if you start putting him in, and again, I know this will almost never happen. But if you start putting him in every 5th day and go through the Rangers' schedule, you get to about 18 starts by the All-Star break. And that's starting in the 5th spot in the rotation now, right, to give him that extra time. So, obviously, the chances, and again, that's where the work comes in, doesn't it, with Mike Maddox and Bruce Bochy and Jacob figuring out, how to mix in some breaks in there because 18 by the All-Star break. I mean, you're even then you're going to get to 30 before the season ends. Maybe not. Right
Yeah,
at
I
it.
think. Well, with the off days, I finally looked at the at the schedule. Thank you very much. There are a lot of off days in April, and they're going to honor those off days. So that's going to allow them to kind of slow him in, slow roll it, if you will. But yeah, at some point, I anticipate that Jacob will be skipped, um, and not in a bad way, but just be like, hey man, let's give you this one off, make sure everything holds up, and make sure that um, you have bullets left for September and October because the Rangers again expect to be good, and if they are, they're going to want their best pitcher again, the best pitcher in the world, to be available to them in October without any concerns about injury risk or just being on a pitch count and when you want him to pitch the most. So I think that that's a smart thing to do. They might do it with other pitchers too, just depending on the workload and where they are in the standings. And um, but anyway, yeah, you want this guy as fresh as possible for the big part of the season, which is September.
Yeah, and speaking of a guy that you want fresh and healthy, that's the other guy that'll be in the lineup tonight, at least as you say, as the designated hitter, and that is Wyatt Langford. And again, it almost sounds, Jeff, like this was an injury they might not have even identified during the season, but abundance of caution. Let's don't start on a negative note. They kept him out until now.
Yeah, and why risk it with a guy that you are anticipating being in the middle of your lineup, who you think is going to have far better stats than he did last year when his numbers as a rookie were ultimately pretty good. His September really boosted those things up there. But yeah, this is a guy who was again the fourth overall pick. He's got superstar potential. So he doesn't need to be playing through an injury in spring training. And obliques, they linger. They're tricky. They're like hamstrings. You want to make sure it's all knocked out, that all the right parts are strong enough, and that the injury is clear so that you can he we talked yesterday. Yesterday was the 3 week mark to opening day. He's going to have to do a little extra work here, especially probably that last week of spring training. Once he clears these initial hurdles and shows that he's healthy, he's going to start hopping into minor league games to catch up on bats and to get himself where he feels like he needs to be. And we've already talked about how this guy just likes to work anyway. So he's not afraid of that, and maybe knowing that they're like, all right, let's take a little extra time. It ends up being about 2 weeks off, so that's good for him. And if Adolis Garcia's strain is indeed not as bad as Langford's, then Adolis should be able to hop back into baseball activities maybe late next week or into games even late next week. So this is the time to be cautious. You don't want to open the season with your guys hurt. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's clearly a situation for the Rangers where, as I was saying at the very beginning of the show, Jeff, that, days run into each other as we've talked about. It's Groundhog Day to a certain extent out there. But this is one of those, really not just the media, but probably the team, correct me if I'm wrong, has been pointing to a little bit to get a look at these two guys.
Yeah, well, and also I think that I don't think Scottsdale is the only attraction. A nice dinner in Scottsdale is not the only attraction for the to head over and play in a night game on a Friday during spring training when it's going to be cold. They want to see Jacob deGrom pitch. They know how important he is to the team, and and they haven't had again that many opportunities to do it. He's made 9 starts since he's been with the team. So he needs to, they want to find a rhythm. They want to see what it's like. I mean, I know a lot of them have faced him and all of that stuff in their careers, but still, I think they want to be there to support a guy who went through a lot and is going to be just a centerpiece of this team's success.
Yeah, and when you look at, again, all the different, pundits and all the different rankings and ratings and predictions that come out this time of year, the two things that are always talked about with regard to the Rangers on a national picture, from MLB.com and all the others, are Jacob deGrom being healthy, of course, and the expected breakout, the expected ascension of Wyatt Langford.
No question. Everybody saw how he finished the season. He was the American League Player of the Month. That means he did better than, if you go back and look at those September stats, Aaron Judge, who won the MVP, Yordan Alvarez, who's just a terrific, terrific hitter. Julio Rodriguez, who always seems to be hot and streaky at various times in the season. Wyatt was better than all of them. And the media recognized it. The media who voted, whether it's just they looked at stats or they actually followed it. This guy was good. He was really good, and the Rangers threw a lot at him. He was in the middle of the lineup. They had him playing center field. Because center field still some questions there going into the season, and would Wyatt be there? I don't think that's what they want. I know that's not what they want. They want him to be in left field where he doesn't have to worry about a different position. He can just focus on crushing the baseball. Um, so yeah, they anticipate big things for this guy. So this is a big game. It really is. Spring training. It's just another one off the schedule, but this one definitely has a different feel, like you've been talking about.
All right, so let's take a look at the lineup for tonight's game then, and you'll see exactly what we're looking at and what we're talking about. No lineup? Didn't have it. Okay.
I haven't posted the lineup yet. Yeah, no, the clubhouse doesn't open still until 1 o'clock. The players don't have to be here until noon, so they got 45 more minutes. But we were given a heads up that to expect a lot of these uh, big name players to be in Scottsdale, and also for them to not be in the clubhouse when we have our availability, because they're just going to go straight to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So but if things hold, it'll be Simeon and Seager at the top. The interesting thing though is where are you going to put Wyatt Langford? He's been behind on at bats. So, do you want him to bat in the first inning to try to get as many at bats as possible? How many bats do you think he's going to get in this game? Because he is DHing, so he could hang around and he could play the whole darn game at DH if he wanted. But I don't know if the Rangers will ask him to do that. But shoot, you could see Jake Berger, for instance, batting seventh if he's in the lineup. It could be a pretty interesting day for Bruce Bochy. Um, or and then if you want to see the standard lineup, if you see Wyatt Langford batting third to fifth, well, that might be where he ends up during the regular season. So it'll be interesting to see what Bruce comes up with, but it's going to be nice to see Langford in that lineup.
Yep, no doubt about it, and it does. It's exactly as you say. It shows the depth that this Rangers team has, the depth that's available when you could have a guy like Jake Berger, a guy who is predicted to be the leading home run hitter on this team by many people. You have a guy like that at batting seventh. I mean, to have that lower third of the order start with that kind of power, Jeff, that's amazing.
Yeah, and Jake is they're kind of altering his approach a little bit. He's being a little more patient. So if he has on base too, man, if you break down the lineup into thirds, theoretically the seventh batter could be the leadoff hitter of the third inning,
Sure.
and get a guy on base and let the rest of the lineup do their things. Let it turn over for the top.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it'll be pretty exciting. The Rangers offensively lead the American League in pretty much every offensive category throughout the course of spring training thus far. Small sample size, games don't count, but it's worth noting. More coming up as we continue to hang on and cruise through this day, the final day that Jeff will broadcast from Surprise, Arizona on this trip. But next up, we got to look back at yesterday, because there were a couple of pitching performances we want to note from yesterday next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, we want you to avail yourself to Waymo. It's a great opportunity for you to experience the future, because the future is now out there in Arizona. Waymo are sort of the cars that are driven by automated systems, and they are taking the world by storm in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix. And so you need to go. If you go out to spring training, you need to go check out Waymo. Download the app. They come in cheaper than the other big carriers, right? They're cheaper than the ones you're used to seeing. And you don't have those drivers sitting up there and, talking your ear off, or, as Jeff said yesterday, stinking up the car with the food they're eating, or other things. So I would encourage you to try Waymo. It's only available in 3 markets in the country. Download the Waymo app today.
And you guys also need to download the Sleeper app, which I'm a huge fan of. It doesn't work in Arizona, so if you're coming here for spring training, go ahead and get your get your bets in the Metroplex before you come out. I just love it. It's daily picks. They're one of the latest entries, and they're making a big push after being a leader in the fantasy realm for such a long time. All you do is you download the app, and you pick if a player is going to have more or less than the established number in various categories. You can do all kinds of categories with basketball, hockey, which I have not dipped my toe into yet. You can do college sports, you can do the NFL, you can do baseball, which I'm really looking forward to. And if you use the code DLLS Rangers, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. That's DLLS Rangers with the Sleeper app. Do it and have some fun.
All right, so a couple of DeGrom notes after the segment. One, Harry's asking, he bet $100 that DeGrom would make at least 25 starts. Is that a good or bad bet, fellas? He asks. I'd say it's a stretch, right? I mean, 25, I think, is the ceiling, Jeff. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think if he's healthy, just Bruce Bochy's latest comments we have on that. Um, there's going to be opportunity if Jacob is feeling healthy and if they feel good about where he is, that he could push past 25. I mean, Jacob said he wants to make 30 starts, okay? And there probably are ways to do that. But if Jacob deGrom gets 25 starts, the Rangers are going to win the West. And I just people believe that. I believe that. You know, you figure if he starts 25 times, the Rangers are going to have a hell of a chance to win at least to win 20 of those games. So that's a massive difference, obviously, when it comes to the standings and whatnot. Because if this offense is scoring runs for him, it's not going to take a lot. It's if DeGrom is pitching and the Rangers score 4 runs, they're gonna feel really really good about their chances. So, hell, even 3 runs, they probably feel good about their chances. So I think that I think it's an okay bet. I think he's got a good chance to cash his ticket on that one.
All right, good. And I love that All About Sports Zone reminded everybody in the chat that if he makes 30, he buys us lunch.
Yeah, I can't wait for
Yeah.
Nick and Sam's. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, Nick and Sam's. Looking forward to it. Thanks for not forgetting that promise, All About Sports Zone. And, yeah, what's that? Oh, yeah, and Jeff, have you had a chance to try Waymo? Have you been out of the area and tried Waymo yet?
I haven't. Tonight could be my chance. If John Moore and I want to go get a cocktail afterwards, maybe we just give it a shot. But I'm not intimidated by the autonomous car by any stretch. I think it'd be kind of fun. I just haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah, and you got to rent cars, so what's the deal? So, all right, so let's talk about yesterday's pitching performances. Cody Bradford starts the game, and I think he's been, Jeff, so far in spring training, kind of a model of efficiency. He allowed a couple of runs on a couple of hits yesterday, but he's been very efficient, and I think pretty happy with his performances.
Yeah, the two runs came on uh, home runs. The Padres were ambushing his first pitch, including the very first pitch of the game, which was hit for a home run. That one was wind aided. There's no question about it. The winds were howling, and you hit a ball high in this thin Arizona air with wind, and it's going to go. So that one was wind aided. The second one by Jackson Merrill was not wind aided. He hit a pitch pretty good. But Cody, we asked Bruce Bochy afterwards, like, how was Cody? He's like, Cody did what Cody does. So he goes out, he attacks. He's like you said, efficient. He's not afraid. I mean, this is a guy who does not throw hard, especially compared to Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi and well, just about anybody else on the team. But he commands he can put it where he wants it. He commands it. He changes speeds. He actually has to pitch, and he does. And he knows he said it right at the start of camp, and even on the weekly show when we had him on, and I think it was January. Um, he has to win he feels like he has to win a spot. He felt that way last year and came out and kicked butt and won a spot. I think he has a I think he has a really good hold on the fifth rotation spot this year, but he's still competing like he's not going to make the team. So that tells you a lot about the guy. He's not taking anything for granted. He's going about his work. He's competitive. Yeah, he's probably working on things, some different pitches he wants to mix in there and stuff like that. Because you gotta figure it out if it's going to be a weapon for you during the regular season. But Cody Bradford, I think, is got a death grip on this fifth rotation spot, and he's certainly pitching like it. And you listen to the Rangers coaches talk, and it just seems like it's a foregone conclusion. It's not necessarily a foregone conclusion, but Cody Bradford should feel pretty good about things right now.
Yeah, and certainly you got to love the fact that, as you mentioned, he hasn't changed his approach to or his mindset of, hey, I've got to make this team, and that's a really wise way to approach it. You're talking about how he doesn't throw as hard as this guy, that guy, the other guy. How about Jack Leiter? I mean, Jack Leiter was lighting it up yesterday, and we're going to play his interview here in a second. But I see, it seems, Jeff, both in the interview and even in mound presence and that sort of thing, seems like he's really taken a step in confidence. And certainly, I guess some of that probably has to do with just feeling good about the way your pitches are reacting and performing.
No doubt. And it started to change for him last year. Um, what he was saying sounded more like it wasn't rehearsed. It sounded more genuine. And then this year, just the way he's handling himself, it just seems like he's completely comfortable. Then I think that comfort level translates onto the field. So, yeah, let's hear what he had to say.
Good. It's not a pretty easy workout there for you. I never like to say that. Good one.
How did you feel?
Felt good. Yeah, I feel good in general right now. Feels like I'm throwing all 5 pitches for strikes, and even the misses are competitive misses, and I feel in control, under control, which is always a good thing to feel. Just trusting the defense behind me and trusting Jonah behind the plate.
So 33 pitches today, 25 strikes.
That's a lot.
Huh?
It's a lot.
It is a lot. And I mean, like Cody said, I know they're being aggressive out there today, and maybe that plays into it, but it just does seem like they're, and even like you said, even the misses, they seem like they were much more on the plate. You feel like you're doing a better job of just attacking the zone?
Yeah, I think in general, even in my bullpens, the misses tend to be on the plate right now. Pick and choose my times where I try to get too nasty or too perfect and the misses off the plate, but for the most part, it feels like I'm attacking guys. Even the 3-0 count, there were some competitive pitches mixed in there, so feels good. Yeah, one day at a time, but it feels good.
Well, you can make them aggressive.
by being around the plate.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of a byproduct of that.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal of pitching, and of course if you have to turn around and adjust, and now they're starting to barrel stuff early, then you have to get a little more fine with the locations. But until they tell you that, go right at them.
So halfway through camp, how are you feeling?
I feel great. Yeah, it's been a good camp. Been around the guys. Some really good dudes here. Everybody seems to be on the same wavelength of really wanting to win, and feels like there's a good support for one another, which I think is probably unique. And when there's competitions in camp, everybody seems to be supportive of everybody, which is awesome. And coaching staff has been great. Everything's great, so no complaints.
So the first out of the second, the one up the middle that you missed, but Trejo got, was that a changeup or was that a sinker?
That was a changeup. The lefty?
Yeah.
Yes. Wait, was Trejo, was that short?
Trejo was short.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the changeup.
With the new grip, or the little tweak in the grip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was bummed I didn't get that one.
Did you throw the sinker much?
Yeah, I threw it a bunch.
Okay.
I threw it a bunch. To lefties and righties. The double off the wall was actually a sinker, and I don't really know how he hit that one. That was one of the better ones I've thrown. We looked at it, it was right on the black, and it's good hitting, so good fastball and hitter, I guess.
I think it would have been.
But you're happy with that one, other than.
Yeah, happy with the execution. That's a check mark on the execution. So.
But the pitch in general, I mean, it's pretty new for you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm happy with it. It's comfortable. It's just another fastball.
Okay. Perfecto.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought, Jeff. What you mentioned, he's answering questions that you ask instead of giving answers that sort of are a message he's trying to get out. There's an evolution, there's a confidence in the interview process, and those pitches you mentioned, right? I mean, the kick change, I guess they're calling it, or he's calling it, is that's Boach was talking about it. That thing's floating in there at 92 miles an hour, and it's got, as Boach says, it's got depth to it.
Yeah, Bochy thinks it could be better than the slider eventually, and really, all Jack did was make an adjustment with his ring finger, so that now all three of his fingers are at the same length, I guess, on the ball, and so somehow that's making it better. With these designer pitches and the analytics people and the biometrics and all that stuff, they've made this little discovery. I mean, it's a matter of moving your finger maybe an eighth of an inch, and it's had very positive results. The sinker, he wants to be able to run it in on right-handed hitters. Just something else, to create maybe a different look or get a ground ball, or the thing that I thought plagued Jack was control and command last year, but also he couldn't put away hitters. He couldn't strike guys out, and some of that was that they could take his fastball if it was a ball off the plate, a ball out of the hand. Then they could definitely, if they knew the slider wasn't very good, they didn't have to swing at that. So they just kept fouling balls off until they got one they could like, or he threw one out of the strike zone. He talked about attacking, and yes, the Padres were swinging early, but a pitcher can make these guys swing early by getting ahead in the count, and throwing quality pitches around the plate. And if it's a pitch with leg movement and they swing, they're not going to hit it hard. That was pretty funny what he said about the double off the wall. But sometimes you just tip your cap. But Jack Leiter is going to be on the team. All right, I'm going out there. I don't think I'm on a very weak limb here. It's just been really good, but it's not just the pitching. He's just carrying himself like he belongs.
Okay, that's great. Let's pick that up a little bit when we come back. And we've got more to talk about, too, when we come back, including the assessment that Bruce Bochy said that there may be 3 spots available open in the bullpen. We'll get to that and so much more as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
John, it is definitely not rugged road weather here today. It's like I said, it rained overnight. The field's wet. It's windy, and it's not going to be out of the 50s today, temperature wise. But this weekend, Henry Wilson is playing in a baseball tournament, and you don't have to have nice weather to need a rugged road. They're light, they're durable. If you have to chase your son or daughter to a tournament and be there all day. You want to have food and drink so that you don't end up spending a fortune at the concession stand. And Rugged Road's there for you. Lightweight, durable. They float if it rains hard enough. You're going to be okay. So go to our friends at ruggedroadoutdoors.com. And if you enter the code DLLS, you will save 10% off your first purchase at ruggedroadoutdoors.com.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and it's a true statement about needing that thing, rain or shine, when you're out there on the soccer, softball, or baseball field with the young ones. And also, you could represent your favorite team while you're out there as well. There's rain gear that's available at foco.com. There is warmer weather gear. Warmer weather and also colder weather gear that's available at foco.com. All of it emblazoned with your favorite team. I guess your favorite beyond the team that your kid plays for. But they also have the knickknacks. They also have, the bracelets. They have pens and pencils and gardening stuff and all of it. So you got to go to foco.com. You won't believe the breadth of stuff that they have that's available to be emblazoned again with whatever your favorite team is. And that way you can show your true colors when you go to the game or when you go to the mall or when you go to the store or whatever you're doing. Use the code DLLS at foco.com and get 10% off your order. All right, so let's just quickly get back to Leiter because I'm inclined to agree with you. My logic on it is he's pretty much done. Like, he has nothing left to prove at AAA. He was the Pacific Coast Pitcher of the Year last year, right? So doesn't really need to go back there. And I guess then first of all, I think he's still competing. If he's going to make this club, if he's going to be on this club, he's still competing with the guy that pitched right in front of him, at least in Jack Leiter's mind, right? I mean, Jack's not just that. It's not a foregone conclusion to Jack that Cody Bradford is the fifth starter.
Correct. And you want competition in spring training. We've talked about it a lot. It's something that Chris Young harps on. Um, and that's why there are a lot of good players in this camp. There are veteran guys. I mean, Nick Ahmed, who's been a very, very good player. He has 3 home runs this spring. He's given a push to a guy like Ezekiel Duran. And really, you look at Duran's numbers, he's hitting below 200. He's barely above 100, while he works on his new swing. So, hey, that there's a push there. Some of these non-roster guys like Jesse Chavez and Patrick Murphy, they're pushing for to be in the bullpen. And depending on how, things shake out, they 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 very well could make it. Adrian Hauser has been a very good starter. He's a veteran starter. Maybe Cody Bradford gets pushed to the bullpen. There are some possibilities here. I don't. I think Cody's going to be in the rotation. Um, and the one thing the Rangers need is a guy with options who can go to the minor leagues. And Jack Leiter has that. If the Rangers are to get jammed up on usage, they could option Jack Leiter. It's not fair. Nobody says it's fair, but you're trying to win every game, as many games as possible. And if you need relievers, you need a fresh arm. That happens all the time. Now it is possible for the Rangers to navigate through with a bullpen without optionable players. Hauser, you could try to stay away from him one day and know that the next day, if you're shorthanded, he can go out there and take one for the team and pitch 4 or 5 innings if he has to, of long relief. It may not be pretty, but you got that there. So there are ways to do it. But I really just think that's Bruce Bochy wants. He said yesterday he wants guys who have options. Well, that really narrows the field then. So, but again, the Rangers want their 13 best pitchers. They also want to preserve depth. So that's one way in which Jack Leiter doesn't make the team. If the Rangers want to preserve their starting depth and think Adrian Hauser could be a spot starter for them, and fill in over an extended period if there's an injury, not if, when there's an injury in the rotation, you could see Hauser make the team, similar to the way Jose Urena made it last year. So um, it's crazy the decisions and the possibilities this thing can go. And it was also intriguing yesterday when Bruce Bochy said there might be three spots open in
Yeah.
the bullpen, which means that either one or two of the six who were added in the offseason to major league contracts aren't performing and need to get their butts in gear, or Robert Garcia, who dealt with the elbow inflammation. He's a little bit behind right now in camp. He pitched yesterday in the eighth against some Padres minor leaguers. It was a scoreless inning, but it wasn't as clean as he would have liked it. There's still time for him to catch up, but maybe the Rangers start him on the injured list for a week and let him keep pitching and make sure everything's a-okay. So maybe that's a way a spot opens up, a third spot. But the competition's been that good. Like I said, there's Chavez, Patrick Murphy, who's tossed five scoreless innings in relief and has just been dominant. Um, Robbie Alstrom's been good. Jacob Latz, Walt Pennington, left-handers who have pitched a lot of a lot of big innings for the Rangers last year. So there are a lot of different ways it can go. We haven't even talked about Dane Dunning, who was the pitcher of the year in 23, basically starting the season in the bullpen, and then when Jacob deGrom went down, Dane Dunning took over and pitched his tail off. So it's going to be something that may not be decided until that second exhibition game at Globe Life Field on the 25th. The Rangers have taken it that far before. Now there will be the potential for some pitchers and some players on non-roster deals because of their status with service time who have outs at certain dates. I believe March 23rd is a date for guys probably like Chavez and Kevin Pillar, the outfielder, who can opt out of their contracts for opportunities, and that's part of the reason why these guys signed. Is to a get an opportunity on a good club, but if it fades, if it fails, if they fail to make the team, these games are heavily scouted, and they could find a fit on another team if their future this season isn't with the Rangers on opening day.
So yeah, and that's the thing that I believe maybe all teams are nowadays looking for that piggyback guy too, or maybe two piggyback guys. But that's a way we were kind of wringing our hands last segment a little bit about, well, how do they get Jacob deGrom to 30 starts if my goodness, blah blah blah. Well, if he's not, the number of starts isn't the telltale sign for wear and tear as much as the number of innings. So if he starts 30 games, but the inning load is reduced, particularly early in the year, his innings count, his inning total stays okay, stays manageable, and he continues to start basically every fifth day. And that's where you need, again, a Jack Leiter, a Dane Dunning, and they're not the only candidates who could fulfill that role, Jeff.
Yeah, and they're being stretched out. I mean, Leiter went 3 innings yesterday. Dunning was supposed to the other day, but it was a little bit bumpy for him. So if they go into the regular season, if they finish spring training able to log 5 innings, well, that'll get you. That's a pretty good spot start right there. That takes a big chunk out of a tough situation if these guys are able to go five. But we've talked about it a lot since really our show launched. It launched pretty much at the end of last season and into the postseason when teams were using bullpen games. To the world champs use bullpen games in the World Series.
Yep.
So in that situation, they were able to load up with guys who could go 1 and 1+ innings. But that's just the nature of the game. Guys, whether it's the way that they're coming up through the minor league system, pitching just once a week, However it is, and the fear of letting somebody face a lineup a third time, you need it. You need somebody who can pitch 2 innings a night, really, and maybe even three if things are that bumpy, and the lineup the opposing lineup starts to bat for a third time in the fourth inning, and you don't you don't want your starter in there anymore. So the game has changed to force, like you said, John, multiple inning relievers, and Dunning and Leiter can fulfill that depending on how they want to use, how many bullets they want to save for DeGrom and Tyler Mahle. Don't forget Tyler Mahle, who only made 3 starts last year coming back from Tommy John. There could definitely be a need for that. So um, I would expect that if there are, let's say, 2 spots open, that it goes to guys who are going to be uh, pitching 2 or 3 innings every time they are called on to pitch.
Yeah, a question along those lines from Benny. Benny wondering if Leiter and Dunning, for that matter, if their performances make Tyler Mahle more tradable, thus creating a CBT wiggle room. And it doesn't seem like there's any interest in that right now, Jeff. And it would go against, I think, basically the mantra, the philosophy, the grain of the president of baseball operations, Chris Young.
Yeah, he's not wild about trading starting pitching away. He believes in having the depth. Now, if you get to the trade deadline and Mally's been so, um, and you have Kamar Rocker at AAA who's been kicking butt and taking names, then maybe you could see that. If the depth holds up and is a position of strength for the Rangers, then maybe they could trade from that position of strength. The deal is though that Mally's going to be a free agent after this year, so you don't see a lot of rental guys who basically would be rental pieces going to non-contending teams. They don't want to pick up the salary. So let's say it's the Cardinals and the Rangers want Ryan Helsley. They're probably not going to want Tyler Mahle. So it would be tough to move him. He does have his most value right now, but the Rangers want to have as many arms um, available to them as possible because just the injury history of every guy in that rotation. They've all been hurt at some point, whether it be a minor injury like Nathan Eovaldi had last year, or a more serious one like he had the year before that, or the Tommy John surgeries that DeGrom and Mahle are coming back from. John Gray, he's been on the injured list all 3 of his seasons. Cody Bradford had that back deal last year, so that's why Chris Young is so intent on building depth and keeping depth, and not just that pitcher. I mean, that's why Kevin Pillar was signed. He gives the Rangers another option in the outfield in case somebody's hurt. And guess what? Adolis Garcia, has put a little bit of a scare into the Rangers there this week, and he's expected to be ready for opening day. But if he's not, well, you sure could see Kevin Pillar make this team.
Yeah, and Pillar, that's a question that came in too. Is Pillar this year's Robbie Grossman?
He could be for sure. He had 3 hits yesterday. He's been very, very good in the short amount of time he's been in camp. Donnie Ecker mentioned him to me the other day as a guy who's just been really good. So he came to camp ready to go. He signed late, so he came ready to go. He's been thrown into the mix, and the Rangers like what they've seen so far. Again, this guy was pretty good till he hurt his thumb last year with the Angels, and he finished out the season, but wasn't the same hitter. He got that fixed, and wants to play. He wants to be here. Doesn't want to retire, so that's his motivation to make the team. And you can definitely see there are definite avenues for him to make it to this roster, and it may not even take an injury. There are definitely ways to do it.
Yeah, and if not, he retires to Argyle, where he's got 60 chicken and 6 llamas. So I'm sure he wants no part of that yet. He wants to keep playing.
Got to get that homestead exemption. That's right.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. All right, we got more coming up. It's our cleanup segment coming next as we wind down a week of baseball talk on the DLLS Rangers podcast. I believe we're both merchless today, Jeff. That is rare.
Well, mine's not visible. I do have on
Oh, good.
a DLS shirt. That's the one.
Okay, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, in the spirit of Mardi Gras, I'm flashing people. So, but yeah, it's such a comfortable shirt. It really is. And it was a little chilly the other morning when I went out for my run. So rather than wear one of those paper thin, lightweight, moisture wicking shirts, I wore one of the DLS t-shirts, and it helped keep me warm. It was really a good fit and a good workout companion, if you will. But these shirts are great. We wear one just about every day. John has gotten a couple others because we have our St. Patrick's Day shirts. St. Patty's Day is coming near, but if you order today, you can get a variety of our All City shirts for St. Patrick's Day with the drunk little leprechaun on the back, day drinking champions, stuff like that. So go to store.allcitynetwork.com and do it. $35. But we also have a way where you can get one for free. Isn't that right, John?
We do indeed. Now, my St. Patrick's Day shirt says day drunk, which may or may not be the current state of where I am right now. I'm not going to reveal that. You be the judge. But yes, become a diehard. You could get one of those shirts or get one of the other kinds of shirts that we have. This diehard deal is awesome. It's great no matter what the price point you pay. Right now, $79.99 to become a diehard. You get all the content that we provide on all our teams, and you get 20% off any of the events that we do. And we've already done a couple, and we're going to do more and more. And we want you to be a part of those for 20% off, as well as the fact that you get the free shirt and you get 20% off the merchandise. So lots of reasons to become a diehard today. Time for us to clean things up. And I noticed, Jeff, a big story came down the pike yesterday, and it's not really that surprising, but they're gonna dial back in Los Angeles, or up the road at Camelback now, on Shohei Ohtani's pitching. He's not ready to start facing hitters and all that yet.
Yeah, it's tricky, Tommy John surgery, and this is number two for him. And if it's not feeling right, then back off. You don't want this guy missing any time as a hitter. Yeah, he can hit with a torn elbow ligament, as he did for the Angels, and then as he did last year for the Dodgers, and coming back from the surgery. But they have they have so much depth in their rotation that they don't need to do it. I mean, and now's the time. He wasn't going to be ready for opening day anyway, so it's not like you're going to be missing out on seven starts in April. No, you weren't. The Dodgers weren't getting him back till May. So what difference does it make if it's not until June now? So that it's, and again, how much are they paying this guy? 700 million. You know, um, you want him to maximize the value of that contract, and if there's an injury risk, you don't want to do it. If he can come back and be great for 4 months instead of six, awesome. So that is not surprising news, as you said, John.
Yeah. Now, big news, lots of news coming from the Athletics camp right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps first and foremost is the fact that they got ahead on Lawrence Butler, and they've gotten him signed to a 7-year, $65.5 million contract. So ultimately, certainly, by the end of that contract, it's going to be a real bargain for the Athletics. But in the short term, it buys, it gives Butler the security that he wouldn't have had if he was going year to year in pre-arb and all that.
Yeah, they're going to buy out some free agency years with that. It looks like, and I'm sure the options will be, if he remains this player, I'm sure the options are valued where it would still be a pretty fair deal for the A's. So these team-friendly contracts with these young guys, they don't always work out. Hello, Rougned Odor, it's smart for the A's to do this. And there's an opportunity, if the A's, when they get to Las Vegas, they could become a money making ball club. They could see their payroll really expand, and if they have some core guys signed up at affordable prices, that could really give them a chance to go out and get some bigger name free agents eventually. So, you know, as an observer of baseball, they've had a fantastic offseason with their ability to lock up Butler here, also Brent Rooker, and to sign Severino to start among their other moves. They've had a really good offseason.
They really did, and they have released renderings. Actually, they didn't release it. These were released at a Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting in Las Vegas at the Convention Center. But there are new renderings of this beautiful retractable domed ballpark that the A's will likely be playing in 2028. It begins to look more and more like there was, even as they left, and Marcus Semien told us at the end of last year, hey, this isn't a done deal yet. He was kind of hopeful that the A's would have to go back to Oakland, but it's looking more and more like they're going to get this deal done. They're moving forward in Las Vegas, and that's a beautiful looking place.
Yeah, they've bought the land. That's the key thing. The A's own the land that where they want to build it, and so it may take some greasing of the government wheels there in Las Vegas, which has been done for 70 years. So it wouldn't be anything new. But they'll get it done. They'll get some public financing. The owner may have to dip into the gap fortune and dig out a few hundred extra million he wasn't expecting to spend, but he's going to make it back on the back end, and he knows that, and probably the city knows that. So we'll see, but I don't see this thing getting knocked off the rails at this point.
No, I don't either, and I can't find his name right now. But they've also named a new president, the Athletics, and it's the same guy who was. Yes, and it was the same guy who was president of the Raiders and left that position in December. So an experienced guy with sort of working in and with the people of Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I don't, I didn't read it, but apparently he left the Raiders under some questionable circumstances. But you're talking about a team that moved from Oakland to Las Vegas. The A's are moving from Oakland to Las Vegas, albeit with a couple years in Sacramento in between. So he knows the landscape, knows what it takes. So it seems like a good hire. I mean, what do I know? But yeah, they're that's another sign that yeah, we're going to hire this guy with this experience in the city we're moving to. It just is another indication that yes, this is going to happen.
Yep, it is, and it's relatively exciting because again, you mourn the loss of baseball in Oakland and all that, but it's going to be a pretty exciting environment with the stadium right there on the Strip. Now, again, another stadium right there on the Strip in Vegas.
Yeah, the football stadium is across the highway from what hotel is it? Mandalay Bay, I think. One of the hotels. It's just on the other side of.
I know that one that's
That's
shaped like a pyramid. I was staying in watching them build that. It was real close to there.
yeah, yeah, and um, so it just seemed inevitable. These leagues just had to get over the idea that gambling could tarnish their product. And I think that as we've seen both in the NFL and baseball, you know, it's really hard to gamble, to bet on your sport, and the penalty still remains as severe. Football players have been hit because they've been doing it on their phone, and GPS has tracked them down. And I don't know what the cases that had been the findings on the players who were suspended last year by Major League Baseball, and what happened with Pat Hoberg, the umpire. But they're going to catch you. Don't do it. You're going to get caught, and you're
Yeah.
going to end up costing yourself a boatload of money. So I think with those concerns eased, it just made so much sense to move into Las Vegas. Las Vegas, the area has over 1 million people in it. It's a big market. People want to go there. It's a destination city. And I'm guessing that, when the A's move there, Rangers fans will be like, hey, let's go to Las Vegas, watch the Rangers, and gamble and drink all night. So, I
Sure.
mean, there's going to be some tourism dollars coming in. Not that Las
Yeah.
Vegas needs it.
Yeah, I think they do pretty well with Texans already. And now you put a team that, when the Rangers will play there a couple times a year, absolutely you'll get interest from here. Staying in the division with news on the cleanup front, Jeff. The Adolis Garcia thing could have been so much worse. The Wyatt Langford thing could have been worse because Christian Walker is having some oblique issues, the newly signed first baseman for the Houston Astros, and they're sending him back to Houston for an MRI. So not a good sign for their new $60 million man.
Yeah, if you're having to go back to Houston, it's bad. I mean, they have MRI machines in West Palm Beach, so it seems like this one might have a little more substance just on that. The Rangers get their MRIs done here locally. So whenever you hear he's flying back to meet with the team doctors or whatever, that's trouble. So that's not a good sign for the Astros, a good sign for the Rangers, I guess. But there have been some other guys who've been dealing with stuff. You see that the Giancarlo Stanton stuff doesn't look good.
No.
Luis Gil is going to miss 3 months, the reigning rookie of the year, at least 3 months with, what was it, a lat strain or an oblique strain, one of them. So yeah, and shoot, who did I see? Walker with the Cardinals had some knee soreness. He left the game. So you're going to see these little things pop up in spring training, as we've been warning you, and as the Rangers have learned. You hope it happens early, and then there are going to be severe things that pop up, and that's just the nature of this game.
Yes, and you hope you don't have to hear about your player that he is flying back to wherever, right? In our case, back to Arlington. Generally, if they got to go back to Arlington, that's not a good sign. In the case of Christian Walker, back to Houston, not a good sign. What is a good sign is that it looks like, Jacob deGrom and Wyatt Langford will both be able to play tonight. They're going to, weather permitting, play baseball in Scottsdale. And that is the, I said in one of the things we wrote this morning, Jeff, that is, they're playing the long game. The Rangers are with Jacob deGrom, hoping for the long game, and it starts tonight.
It does. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm still holding my breath. They've put the tarp back on the field here in Surprise.
Oh, okay.
The Royals are preparing for a split squad game against the A's. So I don't think Wash is going to be here. If he is, I'm going to go hunt him down. But I think that the crowd is very sparse right now. I don't think people are too excited to be here. It's a pretty crummy day in the Valley for sure.
Yeah, not the kind of day you take your vacation to Arizona at this time of year for, is it? No,
that's the truth.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've mentioned this. If they don't go tonight, they're going to play tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's not like they're going to get bumped into next week. If it's not tonight, it'll be tomorrow.
And what is the forecast for tomorrow?
Nicer, dry, and like mid-60s.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect.
Good jacket weather, John.
Oh yeah, like here. That's about what it is here today. Although I think it's going to get warmer here, and then back to cold and rainy tomorrow for Henry's games. I know you won't be back yet, so you don't have to deal with that. But Jenny's got to deal with that.
Yeah, we just got an email from the tournament, so maybe they have some warnings about the weather situation. But in any event, it's March, and then gonna have the April showers and May flowers, I guess. But
right, yeah.
If you came to Arizona this week and we're expecting 70s and 80s, you've kind of run into a problem. Go to the store and buy some warm clothes.
Yeah, sorry about you. All right, that's it for this week from Arizona. Jeff's back in studio next week. We all hope to be out there the week after, but for now, we say so long. Have a great weekend. we'll have some content out there on YouTube over the course of the weekend, and Jeff will be providing more both tomorrow and probably some Sunday. So watch for that, and we will see you again Monday with another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.